So some people say sell-through rate isn't worth it. Everybody uses it. It's a known thing to use. I use it, and this is the gauge I use. 0 to 3% is low. Anything that falls in that range around there, I don't pick up. Hello and welcome back to SM Postcards. If you're new to these videos, what I usually do is I do one long video every week. I throw some short ones here and there on special topics and stuff, but mostly, like on Mondays is when I've been putting them out, is I do a longer video instead of doing 4 separate videos about stuff, but I try to pack as much information I can into 45 or so minutes, and they usually go in this order. As you'll see right down here, a little agenda, and you can skip wherever you want on the chapter line right at the bottom of your video. So if you don't care for the what solds, or you do, you can go back, or you would just watch the whole thing. A lot of people I've found watch this while they list. So I try to speak everything, so you have to raise your head every 5 minutes, but when you hear something, you lift it up. And that's what I usually do with YouTube videos. I like the longer ones because it does take a little while to list 50 postcards. You're going to be here a couple hours, hour or so. And it gives you something to watch, and you might learn something, hopefully. If you can just get one thing out of these videos, I feel I've done my job. And that's what I look for. Every video I always watch from, I don't care who it is, but I always learn something. I always get something. And I have little note cards that I write stuff on so I don't forget, because I'm a good one for forgetting. I think it's age. But they're usually broken down. I do a what sold. Like today, I got 9 postcards to go through. I walk through what I sold the card for, talk a little bit about it, what to look for if I can, if there's anything special with it. And then at the end, I tell you what my average sale price is and what I got for them. It's not really about the price a lot, it's about the variety is what you want to look at. Then I do a special topic, and that's usually on a special type of postcard. Today is California missions. It's those missions, put together a long time ago for the missions, and we're going to go through this because everybody's seen those. And we're going to go through the history of them, so you get a little bit of a foundation on what these are. It'll intrigue you a little bit more maybe. There's so much information on those. It took me a long time to dig through and find out the pieces that I wanted to say to intrigue people that intrigued me. And then I get caught reading stuff all the time. But the California missions is something you want to look for, and I did sell-through rates for each one. I always do a poll on Saturday morning, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe so you get these polls from the community tab. I put a lot of stuff on the community tab because that's what we are. We're a bunch of like-minded people. We're resellers, and we sell postcards. Or you're a collector, or you've been doing this for 30, 40 years, or you've been doing it for 10 days. There's always something in there. Most of the people that watch the channel have about 3,000 to 5,000 postcards up or less. Then we have the other big hitters that have more. And everybody's welcomed. Doesn't matter if you have 2 postcards. You learn something. Postcards are just great to get into. And if you're looking for something that's easy to pack, easy to ship, easy to store, don't want to lift, and learn, postcards are great. They're great fillers for other stuff. If you're selling clothes, get some postcards up. Now, sometimes you got to have a good quantity to make it worth it, but you got to start somewhere. And then always at the end of the video, I do 2, 3, 4 comments from viewers. It's just not me talking up there. I talk to other people, and they provide their comments, and then I give you my opinion. So it's kind of a conversation between me and the computer, but it's great to learn. It's not just me a talking head up here. So that's how they usually flow. So let me go ahead and get into what sold, and we'll go through these 9 cards. And then I got some cards from a viewer from Sweden. We had a little conversation. I'll tell you how that came out, and Chris has given me permission to talk about this. But from Sweden. I'm in Illinois. Sweden's way over there. And we worked together a little deal, and then he sent me a little gift, some postcards. So I got some postcards that he has over there, and I'll show you. I picked out some of them. But the cards I got sold. I sold this one. This is kind of creepy, but it's the silver fox. Just a fox. Look at that. There he is right there. That's his eyes. He's looking out. Someone bought a silver fox. A lot of people would not list this card. They just think it's a view card. It's not going to be much. I sold it for $465, full price. Then this card I just listed yesterday, it's some kind of murals, revolving globe in the Waterman Steamship Corporation building, Mobile, Alabama. Maybe it was something special. I just saw it as a chrome card. There's a globe and there's the murals in some building. I didn't see anything special, but that sold right away, $4.65. Then I sold a ship card. Anybody new to the channel, a couple years ago I bought thousands and thousands of naval ship cards from a club that used to print them out, and they just don't do it anymore, and they wanted to get rid of the cards, and I bought them all. And there's a video about that. So you're going to see a lot of ship cards that I sell. So I have a very good following on there. I got thousands of them listed. And this is the USS John F. Kennedy aircraft carrier. It's a Continental card. It might be a little bit bigger than that, but I got a bunch of these. I probably have a couple of hundred of those. Next one sold for $5.65, and this is one I put up yesterday. This is looking up First Avenue South toward Pioneer Square, Seattle. It's a divided back. You can kind of just tell by looking at it. After a while, when you do postcards, you can kind of just look at them or feel them that they're a divided back. Divided back has a line. Before 1907, 1908, you can only put the address here. Then Congress changed the law where you can put the message, and then that's the address with a line. That's the line. Europe had it for a little bit earlier than we did. But that's your divided back if it has a line. A lot of times you'll see undivided backs and they drew their own line. Because a lot of people, when they changed the law, a lot of people had a lot of undivided back postcards and they didn't want to go out and buy some more, so they would just draw their own line. But it's still undivided back to me if it doesn't have the publisher line on there. But that's a divided back, Seattle, and it's sold for $5.65, full price. This was an interesting card. I wanted to price it up. I wanted to go to $5, $7 for it, but there's a problem with it. And usually I don't list cards like this, but this had some good comps and stuff, but it had a problem. This is the New Carroll Arms in Washington, D.C. It's a hotel in Washington, D.C. It's just basically like a chrome card, divided back. But look at that. It's got a little crease right down the middle. I don't know if you can see it on there. Maybe you can see it here. But it's got a bend right in the middle. So I put in the listing, I put it up for $4.65. Just the crease goes all the way across, so it's just right on there. So I don't list those cards. It always takes value down, and I listed it for $4.65, and it sold within a day. So 3 cards sold that I listed yesterday. A lot of people say, well, I left money on the table. I got 3 cards gone. That's all I know. I'm happy. I probably paid less than about a penny, 2 cents for those cards. This is a Naval Desolate Headquarters, Piers 1 and 2, United States Naval Stations, Newport, Rhode Island. So I guess that's the ships in the back there. It's got a railroad tracks. This card sold for $45. I have a very good naval following, so stuff like that I always put up. This card sold between $7 and $8. All your beaches, your Oak Beach, your Miami Beach, all the different beaches, you always want to check and comp, because some of them do very, very well, and some are average. Most are average, but you get those one beaches along the East Coast, West Coast that are just special. And this one is a little more special. It's the Cherry Grove Beach, South Carolina. Sold that card $7, $8. I would say it's a linen, but it's probably a little newer than that. It doesn't have that waffle texture and stuff, so it's one of those cards that's a in-between, a tweener. So, but that card, it was posted in 1960, but it's Cherry Grove Beach, South Carolina, $7, $8. Motels. I'm on a kick lately this year of getting motels, not hotels, motels. There's a difference. Hotels are those big ones. I have a video about hotels that explains the difference between a hotel and a motel. Yeah, there's a difference between the two. Check the video out. So Rockledge Motel, Alexandria Bay, New York. Look at that. I would have loved to have been the postcard salesman that just drove down Route 66 and went and sold this stuff to everybody. Just a chrome card. And this sold $45. Most motels lately I've been putting up and getting an extra $1 out of. And this one's St. Mary's College from the south, Winona, Minnesota. This is a white border card of St. Mary's College. And I got $5 to $6 for it. Someone put $3 on there for like an antique booth or a show. I don't take those off. I just leave them there. It's not worth the time. But that was 9 cards that I sold. Not a real busy day. Lately it's been up and down. Some days I have a few, some days I have a lot. But for the month it all averages out. Never been a time I've been reselling, once I got really up and going, that I have not paid my bills for the month and put money in my pocket. If you do it right, watch your expenses, especially with postcards. You can't spend a lot of time. You can't spend a lot of stuff on packing. You can't pay a lot for them, these average cards. You got to get them really cheap, ship them the best you can, as cheap as you can, but don't hurt quality, and get a lot of them up there, and you'll put a little bit of money in your pocket if you do it right. There is a good margin. You just got to sell a lot of them. Now the higher end cards sell themselves, the real photos and stuff like that, where you paid $10 for it and you sell it for $180, but you did a lot of research. Yeah, there's people that love to do that stuff. I'm not that guy. I'm going to give it back to Chrome. I like the Chrome cards, and doing the way I do it, I enjoy it and stuff. But I will sit down and research once in a while, but not that often. I'll put it up there, get my money for it, and let someone else go do a lot of that. I'm not a patient person, I guess. But 9 postcards sold for a total of $49.99. Not $50, but $49.99. Average sale price today, from yesterday to today, $5.55. My goals from January 1st this year, I always make goals every year, and I'll probably carry these same goals in the next year because they're easy. I only do 3. I don't make it hard. I wanted to raise my average sale price up since I got rid of my toy store and everything. I needed to do that to make it profitable and put a little bit more money in my pocket from postcards. Average sale price is going up this year, which is good. I want to do $70 a day minimum. And you're saying, well, that's not much. That's $25,500 a year gross. And if you pull 40% off in reselling, it puts about $1,000 to $1,200 in my pocket a month. I'm retired. My money's in the mailbox. I don't rely on this. If I don't sell a card the rest of the year, everything's paid. I have my expenses set out all the way to the end of next year. I've set the business up that way. So if something happens, it goes. I have stuff put away. I got an emergency fund. I got a lot fund, and someone comes in and say, hey, I got 20,000 postcards for $500 or something. I have stuff like that. It takes a while to get there, but you want to have that type of money put away. Or if I have a real slow month and I blow up a scanner or my printer breaks, I have that money put away to pay for those things. But $70 a day is my minimum. That's where all my business is based on, and I'm way over that this year. So I'm doing well. I'm very happy with. It's ridiculously. I cut all my expenses this year, and it's just ridiculous how low I've gotten it to, and still run the business the way I want. And I want to sell 14 cards a day. That's it. I'm retired. I wanted to slow down, and I worked to get to this point. So I'm doing 13 cards a day, one away. So I think I picked some pretty good goals, and I'm meeting them, so I feel comfortable. They're not record breakers. Yeah, some guys are selling 60 cards a day. They're making, selling 10,000 a month or whatever. I'm not competing with people on that. I'm just doing what I want, and I want to enjoy it. I don't want to sit here for 10 hours a day listing postcards just to have more than someone else or to get there, because you have to stop. You can't list everything, and you can't buy everything. So that's my opinion on that. So that's what's sold. Now we're going to get into the special topic of these California Missions postcards. And you're probably saying, what are you talking about? If you haven't done postcards for a while, you probably haven't seen them, but if you're paying attention to these, you're going to see these postcards. Some of them, there's a lot of them. But the California Missions, I'm going to go through some history of them. I'm going to show you a list of all the missions and where they're at. And then when we get into the sell-through rate, I'm going to talk about how they do and stuff like that. So here we go. So the California Missions are a series of historic religious outposts established by Spanish missionaries during the late 18th and early 19th centuries. There are a total of 21 missions spread along the California coast, stretching from San Diego in the south to Sonoma in the north. And I'm going to show you a map here in a second. These missions played a significant role in the colonization and development of California. as well as the spread of Christianity among the Native American population. Each mission was designed as a self-sustaining community, consisting of a church, living quarters, workshops, farmlands, and other extensional facilities. The Spanish missionaries aimed to convert the Native Americans to Catholicism, teach them agricultural and vocational skills, and integrate them into the Spanish society. Kind of like Star Trek and the Borg, if you watch that, you're going to be assimilated. The missions served as centers of religious instruction, education, and trade, becoming crucial hubs of activity in the region. Today, the California missions are both historic landmarks and popular tourist attractions. Visitors can explore the beautifully preserved architecture and artifacts, learning about the history of missions and their impact on the indigenous cultures. The missions provide a fascinating glimpse into California's colonial past, showcasing the blending of Spanish and Native American cultures. Many of the missions also feature well-maintained gardens, museums, and exhibits that provide insights into the daily life of the missionaries and the Native American communities they served. While California missions have faced controversy over the years, particularly regarding the treatment of Native Americans, they remain significant cultural and historical landmarks in the state. They symbolize the complex history of California, reflecting the collision and interaction of different cultures. Whether viewed through a lens of religion, architecture, or history, the missions offer a valuable opportunity to understand and appreciate the diverse heritage of California and its early inhabitants. The postcards of the California missions are like little windows into the past. They show us pictures of the missions with their beautiful architecture and colorful gardens. People used to send these postcards to their friends, family, to share the beauty and history of these missions. Each postcard tells a story and brings the missions to life. It's like taking a journey through time. Imagine what life was like in those missions many years ago. Collecting these postcards is a way to preserve the memories and share the legacy of the California missions with future generations. So that was some history on the missions. There's a lot to them. As I was reading, I was getting caught up in stuff. I said, I gotta stop. I'll never get this video done. But there's just a lot to it. And now I'm going to show you a map and a list of the 21 missions. I'm not going to go through each one of them because I probably can't pronounce the names. But here it is. If you notice on the map, all the way down at the bottom is San Diego, and at the top is San Francisco Solano. So those are the missions, and on the left side, I put 1 through 21. The ones that I see a lot of, now, number 4, the San Gabriel mission, that one burned. I remember a couple of years ago, that one had a fire, and I remember people bought some of my postcards. So that one I've seen, and then if I go down, San Juan Capistrano is probably the most prevalent postcard I've seen on there. Number 9, Ventura, Buenaventura, the Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, number 12, 14, San Jose, the 15, the San Juan Bautista, the San Miguel, 16. I don't see a lot of the 17, but I see a lot of the 18, Louis Ray. And then Raphael in San Francisco, I don't remember seeing as much, but San Juan Capistrano is probably the biggest one I've seen of the gardens and different things like that. But that's the whole list. And that's where they're located in California, and that's the map of there. I got some more facts about these missions that I wanted to share as well. I got 5 facts here, odd facts about them. Number 1, the walls of the mission of San Juan Capistrano are home to a large population of cliff swallows that migrate each year from Argentina. The birds return to the mission on March 19th, known as Swallows Day, and their arrival is celebrated with a festival. Second fact, the mission Luis Rey de Francia has an unusual feature, a secret passage. So this mission has a passage that leads from the mission to a nearby river. The passage was used during times of conflict or emergencies to provide a means of escape for inhabitants. Sounds like a movie to me. Mission San Francisco de Aes, also known as Mission Dolores, is the oldest mission in San Francisco and survived the devastating 1906 San Francisco earthquake and the fires. The mission's adobe walls acted as a buffer, protecting it from the worst of the destruction. The bell towers of the Mission San Juan Bautista was used as a filming location for Alfred Hitchcock's thriller Vertigo. The mission's distinctive architecture and historic ambience provided the perfect backdrop for several scenes in the movie. And then the last one. While most of the missions are associated with Spanish Franciscan friars, the mission San Antonio de Padua has a unique visitor. John C. Fremont, an American explorer and politician. Now, John Fremont, if you want to know history about California, look up Fremont. Some of the stuff that I read about that guy. Fremont and his men sought refuge at the mission during their famous 1846 expedition to California. So John C. Fremont did that expedition stuff. I got caught up reading all that stuff, and I have some bookmark things that I want to go back and read. It was very interesting about how they did some of that. But that's the history about the 21 missions. You're going to see these postcards and stuff like that. Now we're going to get into some of the pricing and sell-through rate. Now a lot of people talk about sell-through rate. Mark, this isn't right down to the card. I'm not looking to do that. I'm not looking to land a person on Mars. I'm looking just some kind of tool to give me an idea on how these cards are moving through the eBay system. I don't have to get down to the last card. I just need to know the range and say, is this one better? I know Disneyland sells better than Rhode Island. But did you know the Weeki Wachee mermaids are higher than Disney, and they're like 40-some% sell-through rate? Even if they were 20, I would still pick them up. But if they were 2 or 3, I wouldn't. So this is just a tool to use real quick in your head as you go through these shows and stuff. You can't comp everything. The semantics of trying to calculate this 100%, you would lose money because you would spend hours. Just to come up with these numbers sometimes takes a while to get the query down. You just use it as a guideline. You don't need to get, because if I got it down to the last card and made sure everything was right and everything like that, is that going to help me sell another card? No. So some people say sell-through rate isn't worth it. Everybody uses it. It's a known thing to use. I use it, and this is the gauge I use. 0 to 3% is low. Anything that falls in that range around there, I don't pick up. I'll get them in lots and stuff, but I don't do much with. QSL cards, Niagara Falls, Natural Bridge, Cypress Gardens, stuff like that. I got enough of them. And then when you get into 4 to 7%, remember this is a range, so I could be off here and there, but it gives me a guideline, something better than just guessing. Is it going to sell? It gives you a focus. Average cards, 4 to 7%. They're going to move, but they're going to sit a little bit. Then a little bit better ones, 8 to 10%. So anything from 4 to 10% is really what I key in on. But the 8 to 10% get a little higher. And anything over 10, 11% and above, definitely pick up. And that's what sell-through rate does. It doesn't get it down to the last thing. I'm not a mathematician. And I'm not going to sit there and look at 500,000 cards in New York just to make sure everything's sold, when, and dates. It's not worth it. I just want a guideline. So you can listen to all the other people and say, this doesn't work. It works for me, and it has. So this is the tool I use, and this is the guideline I use. When you go to a show and you find some high cards, 8 to 10%, you pick them out, and then you go home, and then you do the detailed and see if you really make money. Sometimes you get duds. Sometimes you don't. It's just reselling. But wouldn't you want to better go into a postcard show knowing a little bit more with data-driven results here than just you looking through a box and, oh, that's cool, that'll sell. Then you get home and, yeah, that doesn't sell. Where you'll have a better chance of picking up some of the right cards. But the sell-through rate, I calculate. I just go in and I typed in Postcard California Mission. And I take the sold, I click sold, and I take the number that eBay gives me. It's 90 days. And then I take listed. And I do take some things out, some things popped up, plates, cups, and stuff. I try to take some of that out. eBay only gives you so much to do to get rid of that stuff. So there could be a straggler, but that's why I put it in a range. To offset that. But that's all I do. Then I times it by 100 to get a percent, because humans like to see a solid number and all that decimal stuff. 885 sold in the last 90 days. 19,000 listed. So there's a lot of these cards out there. 19,000 for this type of card, to me, that's a lot. And 805, it gives you a 5% sell-through rate. And if you look at the gauge here, that's only an average card. So went to 4, went to 6, it's still going to be an average card. So that's what sell-through rate does. Then at the bottom there, if you notice, I put Postcard Church. Just Church is 3%, but the California Mission, a little more detail, gave it 2% more. Chapel, Postcard Chapel. But in church, there's 460,000 churches listed. That's huge. Then you look at Chapel, 53,000, 3%. So church and chapel are about the same. And then I put Cathedral in there. There's 130,000, only at 2%. So the missions do a little bit better in the religious buildings and stuff, architecture. So not bad, but I still consider it an average card. I'll get them in lots, but if I see them in a box, I usually don't pick them up. I got enough of them, and I've seen them, but Capistrano on there, and you're going to see some higher price ones here, what to look for, but they're not real high. But each mission will have a different demand. I was going to do a sell-through rate for each one, but some of them I just couldn't find any cards. Maybe, and there was different names I found. Some people were calling them different names and stuff like that, so it got a little bit more involved than I really could explain. But the overall California Mission is 5% average postcard, nothing special. But I went out and found some high pricing, extreme pricing I call it. This one is from the 1940s, Interior Mission of San Paulo, San Diego. It's a real photo postcard. $39.95 best offer, $1.95 shipping, probably took $35. Real photos always seem to do well with these. Now they're not in the hundreds and 200s as we saw in other cards. They're still, $20, $30. Next one is a real photo of the Mission San Jose, Fremont, California, near Milpitas. I did work over in Milpitas and San Diego before. 1910, $37 it sold for in an auction, 9. So a real photo for $37. Then the Mission Interior of San Caspriano, $30. Took best offer, probably got $25 for it. So if you see real photos of some of these missions back in the day, they might be worth $20, $30. Is what I see on there. Not the 200-300 as we saw in some other 150 ones we've seen in other ones. So they're still not driving the top dollar even in those. There might be some out there. You always want to go through and do your homework on those cards. But if you get back to regular cards, you'll see these cards all the time. This one here is $17.99. It sold for Santa Barbara Mission. Just a vertical card. Older, looks like divided back. $18. Then the California Mission, Caspriano Pool. I've seen this card many times. I probably got many up there. Sold for $13. I've never got $13 for this card. I don't think I've sold one, but I have some of those up there. That's not a bad deal. That worked out very well. Then the Los Angeles, California Interior of San Gabriel Mission. This is the one I remember burned. $12. They had a fire there. It was in the news a couple years ago or so. So 12. So you're looking at 12, 13, 14, 15, 12, $13. I would say 12 to 14 for some of the on the high end. So they're not really breaking the bank. Then you look at the low ones. We got $1.97 sold, 99 cents, $2.65. So some of these, I won't get into much, but you got to get your time and your money for that. So you're competing against those. I don't even put those low ones or the real high ones in my comping. I just throw them out. You just got to know it's there. I don't know if eBay shows them because of that, because they probably don't sell a lot of cards. They probably sell some, but I don't know. I just leave it alone. I don't even go there. But that's the pricing of the things. You don't have to know all the names. If you get one of the postcards like I put on the thumbnail with that big guy on there, that monk or friar, yeah, it's got all the names on there, but I would look them up and see, especially real photos. But most of them, I don't pick them up that much. It's just, Not my thing. I don't sell them that often. They come in spurts. I think if you got a set of one of each or something, maybe something you could do. But would it be worth the time to do it? Historians would like it and stuff like that. But that's the California missions. Read about them. Very interesting. You can get real deep into the history of those and some of the things that happen over time with these missions and stuff like that. Who knew? The poll. Every Saturday I put out a poll between 8 and 10 Central. It's whatever I scheduled it for when I put it out there. And if you're subscribed, you'll get a note. I think you get a notification for it, and so make sure you're subscribed and hit the little bell icon. I think it's right over here. You can just click right on there and just hit yes. Subscribing doesn't cost you anything. Really helps out the channel. Turns stuff on, and it gets lets other people see the channel as well, and we get more people going back and forth in our community. But this poll was, how many postcard listings do you have? I throw this out a couple times, 2 or 3 times a year, because I just want to test the waters of who I'm talking to and who's in our group, and it helps to solidify what I'm thinking. So I did it in ranges. 1 to 500, there's 34%. That's the highest amount of people, is 1 to 500. People starting out, people just have a small store, stuff like that. So 34%. The next one was 501 to 3,000, 30%. So basically, the bulk of the people watching the channel out there is 3,000 and under postcards. That's kind of what I figured, but I don't think it changed from the last time I did it. But we did grow a little bit in the 3,000 to 10,000. We're up to 19%. I think that was more like 12%. So that has grown a little bit, which is good. And then anybody with 10,000 plus is only 11%. So most of the people are 3,000 under, and then our other area, that community there. So then other is 6%. But quantity does rule a little bit in postcards. Remember, there's 7 to 9 million postcards listed on eBay with tens of thousands of sellers. It's a very big market. Not one person, not one thing's going to change on there. They've been doing it since eBay started, and even before that they sold it on other things. Easier way to do it, it probably would have been done by now. Not saying that to be something in the future, but pick your battles on there. But I had some comments on this one, as I usually do. Linda said, I just recently started with postcards. Welcome. It's great. I love it. I plan to increase my inventory, but I only have 100 listed and about 200 that need to be listed. Yeah, just put a couple a day. Start off slow. In the beginning, like I say, you're going to have like 10 left arms doing this stuff. It's going to take you a while. But the more experience you get doing it, list your first 1,000 cards, you're going to be a pro. Then you just kind of learn your eras. You know, your undivided back, your divided back, your white border, your linen, your chrome. Learn all that stuff. Don't worry about all these private mailing cards and real photos at first. Learn the basics and then jump into those, so you can answer those questions and do a better job with them, so you don't underprice or overprice. Figure out where to buy cards. Birthday cards, Easter cards, and stuff like that. Artist sign. You can get into that stuff, but learn your basics. Put your average cards up. Learn how to pack them. Learn how to ship them. Give yourself time, 6 to 8 months to learn, and then you're going to be better at it. A lot of these people, you're not going to learn this overnight. I learn something every day. But take your time with it and appreciate. Ask any questions. We'll be glad to answer. Thanks, Linda. Then Larry Way Out. I only have 150 listed and have sold 36 this year. I only list at $5 or higher and no free shipping. So people have the way they set their models. They can do whatever they want, and he's got a system. I always tell people, just get a system, stick with it, not just do it one day and then change it because it didn't work. Stick with it and see how it goes, and then tweak it and take a look and see what's doing. If you're not selling these cards as much as you want, try to figure out why. Make a small change, let that run for 3 to 4 months, make another change, but don't do a whole massive change on everything. There's not one thing that's going to get you to sell all your cards. I still have thousands to process. It's a new addition to things I sell. I have 3,900 items listed on eBay in multiple categories. Yeah, this is great for fillers. I used to use it in the toy store. So with reselling, it's inconsistent. When you're self-employed and you're reselling, you're going to have inconsistent income. When you're working for an employer, you're getting a paycheck every week consistently. But with reselling, it's market driven, whether the whole works. Some are whatever they call it. And everybody tries to be market people and understand that. People go to school for marketing. They study this for years. It's a whole industry, a career. It just has hills and valleys. That's just the way it works. Even when I owned the restaurant, I owned my own businesses. You had to put money away for the bad times when you had the good times. During the winter, the town pretty well shut down. A month or 2 months out of the year, I didn't get that many people. I couldn't pay the people to be there. I didn't buy all the food. And some months, when it got real bad for a week or two, we had money put away from the summer months when it was really good to pay for the winter and just keep things moving. And it's called cash flow, stuff like that. So you have hills where you do real good, and then you have valleys where you don't have good sale days, sale weeks, and they go like this. What postcards do is it doesn't make those valleys as deep. You're selling a $5 to $10 postcard 2-3 times a day. It kind of takes that sting out of those deep valleys there for 2 or 3 days where you just don't get that many sales as normal, and these postcards just sell, and it kind of trends out you're there. I call them filler cards because it fills up the valley. So you got to have some of this cheaper stuff, lower value stuff, to move through your store to get you cash flow, to keep those valleys from going deep. And that's what he's doing there. He has a system. He knows he's got 3,900 stuff up. He knows how to sell the other stuff. Now he needs to learn how to sell the postcards, and go in being humble and learn what you can, and don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just go with the flow, figure out the basics, and then go from there and build your own system. But use other people's system. You ask questions here. We've all been doing it. We've all been through what you're doing. Thanks, Larry. Then Margot, 700 as of today, working hard as thought. Great. I mean, just keep going. Keep putting up cards. Do a little bit every day. Stuff like that. And don't burn yourself out. Sitting down and about 100 cards as my mind goes to mush. But what I'll do is I'll maybe do 25 in the morning, and then I'll come back and do 10 and stuff. I like to stop and start. Sitting here for 2-3 hours, just standing here and stuff doing postcards, it takes the fun out of it sometimes. So I break things up. I'll do this for a while, I'll go outside, I'll go there, and I'll go do this and go to the store, come back, do 10 more, pack up this. So I break it up in pieces. So I try not to make a marathon. Yeah, and you got to keep moving. You got to get up and move around, do other things, so you don't get just stuck, because it will get old. Most exciting thing is when you sell that one card, that special card, it just keeps you going. You know, or you get a bunch of cards that are just awesome. It just keeps you going. And talking about that, I wanted to talk about Chris. So Chris is a postcard seller from Sweden. He noticed in my Ko-Fi store, where I have shipping, postcard supplies, reference and stuff, that I don't do international. And the reason I don't do international shipping in that store, because it's not like eBay where I can set up all these rules and stuff. I just got to put a flat shipping there, and I just don't know. I just don't want to deal with that. But Chris asked, and that's all you can do all the time, is ask a seller. And we worked it out, and we kept adding things to his things, and I'd tell him the cost. He goes, oh yeah, that made it a little bit too much. So I had him send me a list of what he wanted, and then he added a few things, and I said, well, that brings it up to here. And he said, yeah, we'll do this time. So I sent him a nice little package for the price that he liked, and what he got, because he can't get some of those supplies in Sweden that he can get here. So we worked out a deal. It worked out for me. It worked out for him. And then he wanted to send me a gift, and he sent me some postcards. Now, he sent me a good stack of these postcards. I'm not going to go through each one, but he sent me a nice little stack of postcards from over there that he sells. And there is a Chicago card in there. So I thought this was neat. Look at the bottom. It's spelled in a foreign language, dolphin and stuff. But that was a pretty, look at that slide thing. I don't know what that is. And then, you know, some Romania type things. Another one here. Then you got some army dudes. Then we get into Mexico, matadors. These will do well, real photo postcards. Here's another one. Here's a guy on a horse, and the bull is not happy because he's got some things stuck in his back. So he sent those. This was a neat one. It's in a different language. I got to figure out what it is. But some kind of reference to some airplane or something like that. I'll have to take a look at that one. Then we got some, this is Algier Airlines, some airplane issue cards. This is Swiss Air. I did their voicemail system in Chicago. They had a little office there, and I did their systems there. We got that lighthouse. This is the Boston one, Moonlight, undivided back. This is the New York Theater. It's got a little bit of tinseling glitter on it. It's an undivided back. Then you got the Opera House in Chicago, right there. I used to work on systems up in that building. It was rows and rows and rows of systems for the voicemail on phones, and back in the day it was fiber optic and everything. That was a big thing, new thing, and I was specialized in that. Here's a lighthouse or a beach. Some other undivided backs. Then we got this European Mickey, International Mickey. Got one with a bunch of stamps. Another divided back one. So Chris sent all these to me for nothing. So, you know, I got a bunch of things, and here's a little comic one. So that's just, I probably got 30 to 40 postcards here. You know, if I sell them $5 a piece, $200 worth. So thanks, Chris. But I'm always open to do deals with people and work things out, as long as it works out for me and you. But Chris asked, and he still sends me messages and stuff. But good luck, Chris. Thank you for the gift, and I will get these up. He asked me if I sell a lot of foreign postcards, and I normally don't. One, it takes longer to list. Two, I don't know all the areas. And three, they just don't move as well in the States as some of them. Some do, some don't, but I'm in Continentals too, the size I don't do a lot of. They don't move as fast. I don't know why, but I think the States look at States. Then we get into the last comment. Boldly Grow Picker just passed 2,500 postcards. Congratulations. Postcard SKUs. Obviously, cards are selling, so not quite that many up, but I'm chugging along. Yeah, when you put 10 cards up and you sell 10 cards, your net is 0. You're not growing your store. So you got to put 20 up and sell 10, 20 up and sell 10. So you always got to go a little bit higher what your average sale is to gain more in the store and stuff like that. My goal this year, I'm doing right now, I want to do 50 cards listed a day. I'm not killing myself. And Monday through Friday, I take 5 cards. Then the first 5 cards get scheduled on Saturday, and the next 5 cards get scheduled on Sunday, 5 days a week. So when Saturday and Sunday comes, I don't list. I have 25 scheduled on Saturday and 25 on Sunday, and they go off. So I put up 50 a day. Here's what I like to do. Some days I don't. Some days I do 20. Some days I do 70. Depends on the cards or how I feel like I'm doing. But 50 is it's fine with me. And it's grown over time. I'm up to 46,000, 45,000 cards. I'm not looking to break records. They just keep growing on there. So if I sell 15 cards and I put 50, I'm growing my store. And quantity in my niche, divide back to Chrome, quantity rules. If you have very special cards, real photo postcards, real good stuff, higher price, you do the waiting game. That's a different niche. My niche, you need the quantity does rule. The more you have it. But you got to have good cards. You got to have some good sellers. Pick out good stuff, and you'll learn that over time. Now we get into viewer comments. Viewer comments come from YouTube, email, just different places. And if you put them in YouTube, I consider them public. I could use your name in here that comes with the comment. If it's an email, I consider it a little bit more private, and I'll ask you if I can put it out there. I can remove the name and stuff. First comment came in from Big Sky Flipper. Thanks for your videos. I learned a lot from them. Thanks. I watch them while I'm working in my eBay store. Keep up the good work. That's basically how I gear it. While you're working, you can listen or watch and stuff like that, or just take a break. But I appreciate the nice comments, and keep on watching. I got a lot more for 2023, and I already got the schedule done for 2024. One of the videos I talked about what's coming this year. So thanks, Big Sky. Bit Buffalo was watching the one about Do Not Bend when I was opening the 25 envelopes, and he commented, well, this will be an interesting one. I wonder if one of mine will emerge. And you know, Biff, I don't know. I didn't look at the sellers when I bought them. I just basically bought the card. I just made sure they weren't the same. And I bought them so long ago, I don't remember who they were. But if I did get one from you, I expect it to be a good one. CJ Penning said, how many of these sellers were exclusively or primarily postcard sellers? He's talking about the same video, the Do Not Bend one, where I'm opening 25 packages to review. Or primarily postcard sellers. Packaging routines might differ if you also ship other items. True, but if you're going to sell postcards, I figure they need to understand some of the basics. But I understand if they're using a box or different things like that. But over packaging with tape and stuff like that should be known in the ephemera world, as we'll get down into another comment. But I appreciate the comment. I do understand what you're saying, CJ. People are just not used to it. But if they want to get off the porch and run with the big dogs, they need to learn a little bit about it. But I understand. Thanks. Thrifty Postcards. The painter Pablo Picasso once said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal." So I stole your exact method for shipping postcards. Those EchoSwift rigid envelopes have a 100% success rate so far. Granted, I've only sold 70 cards. eBay standard envelope has worked great as well. Thank you for being transparent, and thank you for the content. And thank you, Thrifty, and everybody else that comments, if we agree or not agree or whatever. But you sold 70 cards, that's good, and you didn't have any problems. Yeah, steal whatever you want. None of this stuff is patent pending or trademark. I'm showing you what I do, and do what Thrifty did, and just pick out the pieces that you want, and do it your way on the other things. It doesn't bother me. I want everybody to be individuals and learn. I just want to show you what I do, and it seems to be working for me. I'm making some money. It's not in the red. Not the biggest seller in the world, the best, but I'm having fun, and I like what I do. Thanks, Thrifty. And Michelle Morgan said, "That is some crazy packaging." Yes, it is, Michelle. Thanks for commenting. Then Neil from Calamity Photo. Now you need to listen to Neil when it comes to archiving and paper. He has a lot of experience in this stuff, and he's one of the people that sells a lot of good high value items, and he knows paper. He knows. He worked. He has his experience. So there's a lot of people in here. If you put a question, they can comment with the experience. So when I see Neil comment here, I went and looked at probably his first because I wanted to understand what he was talking about. Loving the packing tape hate. You and me both, Neil. I have the same pet peeve. Spread the gospel. It should be chiseled in stone. Don't use any kind of tape anywhere near any kind of paper that you intend to preserve. Do not use any kind of tape anywhere near any kind of paper that you intend to preserve. Comes from experience. But check out Calamity Photo. He's really big into stereo views and stuff like that, so he has a lot of good stuff. But Neil always has good comments, and he knows paper. He knows archiving. Happy Bunny. Thanks, Neil, for commenting. Happy Bunny said, "I knew this was going to be a good episode when I saw you carefully and lovingly presenting your gleaming tools, sharp tools, to open an envelope, like a martial arts master preparing his students. Wax on and wax off," is what I replied to him. Yeah, you know, one person commented and said I should have used the tool instead of my fingers. I don't know, I just went with it. I could have used the tools. I just went with it. I didn't even think about it. I did use the razor blade to get through the tape. I think that's what geared me, but I could have used those other ones, but I didn't. Oops. Best laid plans always go to, what do they say, the best laid war plans go to hell after the first shot. So after the first shot, everything just clustered all over. And that's what happened. I just got on a roll, I got my finger under it, and I opened it up. So I apologize I didn't use the tools. But that's just semantics. The whole message is how did the other people package these things, and were we going to learn something from it? We did learn that little innovative thing with the tape and the one thing to the back, but I didn't really see anything this time that is a game changer. I saw a lot of stuff with tape. I think it was over packaging and under packaging. Mostly over packaging. And then the A10 envelopes. Didn't learn a lot. I didn't know innovative, but it was a good thing, and I'll do it again next year. Go out and buy some more and just see if anything new's out there. That's how I learn about stuff, is just try it. But check out the history on the missions if you're interested. Learn a little bit more about those. I don't jump at them. They'll come in last and stuff. I don't list that many anymore because I do have a lot of them, but some of them I don't see a lot of, and that's what I have on my mind. But I appreciate you watching. Check out our other videos. We've got over 200 out there. I'll catch you in the next one. Here's some fish. Bye.